and how it impacts our lives, and how it has some very... You're able to hear me, right? Because I have a lot of noise around here. So, how it has such an important role to play in our lives, both very, very helpful and also extremely isolating. And it's a big crisis in this world with loneliness, and how judgment is one of the biggest contributing factors. So we're going to discuss about judgment to acceptance, and I'm going to keep this within 20 minutes. So hopefully you'll be able to tolerate me, and then I'll have to run to the retreat. So judgment is a very important emotion that humans are endowed with, because judgment helps to discern what is right, what is wise, what is not, and it also helps us to avoid danger. So judgment plays a very important role. You know, judgment can help us grow, because when we are doing constructive self-reflection in our lives, it helps personal growth. So their judgment is a very important key. And then also, when we have proper judgment, we're able to set up boundaries. In life, if we don't have boundaries, then people tend to sometimes take us for a ride. So we need to have certain judgment, discernment, so we can put proper boundaries in our lives. Another reason judgment is very helpful is because it enhances critical thinking. For example, when we observe, when we hear, when we see, touch and smell, we are able to critically think about the situation and make proper judgments and proper decisions in our lives. So this critical thinking is another big part of how judgment helps us. And finally, each and every one of us have our own standard of moral and ethical foundation. And that also is a very important area where judgment plays a very key role. And it helps to align with your true values and morality and ethics, and helps to hold on to your space of integrity. So this is where judgment plays a very, very important role. And in this world, we know that there is a judicial system in every country, every county, every city, and we are governed by those laws. And when we breach those laws and rules, then there is a judgment that is given, where we are then faced with certain consequences. So judgment is a very, very big part of our life, because human mind is in a constant state of judgment. We're always deciphering, is this the right person? Is this the right thing? Is this the right emotion that I'm feeling? So we're constantly having to judge. So now I want to discuss with you how judgment, if it does not have a proper filter, how destructive it is, and how it can completely be the biggest contributing factor for your isolation and having to go through life on your own and in a very dark place. So You can gauge yourself where you are in your life based on which spectrum of judgment you're on. So, judgment, when it doesn't have the right filter, so now we're going on the other side, then what happens is it creates inner turmoil. Every time we come into this space of judgment, you will realize that you are creating an inner pattern within yourself, an internal pattern within yourself of resistance. You'll be encountering frustration, and your level of tolerance will drop. So this is just the other side of judgment when it doesn't have the right filter. When we judge others, it means that we have lost the important principle of being in the present. Because as soon as we judge someone or a situation or a thing, that means we have gone to another dimension of our existence. That means our energy, our prana, our focus has now been shifted from focusing on us being in the present to somewhere else. And so that creates a big disassociation and a separation. And that is what we called a conditioned life. Life that is conditioned by the ego that takes you away from your true self. So this is another effect of judgment in this world. And judgment is also like a heavy weight in our life. Because to judge someone, what we're basically doing is we carry this big weight on ourselves and we want to place it on somebody. And that weight is generally extremely heavy. Those who judge others, that means we're carrying a very, very heavy weight in our heart. So we need to be cognizant of that. We need to acknowledge that so that we can try to see how to consciously move the weight from our hearts and not try to impose it onto others. It's a little distracting here, but please bear with me. I'm trying to not be distracted as I share with you. So this is another quality, this emotional weight. And you will notice that one of the biggest emotional weight that we carry is anger within ourselves. It's extremely heavy and is very fiery and it has huge impact. And another reason you'll notice that we have a tendency to judge others subconsciously. When we judge others, we have to keep in mind that we are afraid of being judged, and that's why we're judging others. And when we judge others, generally, what we're doing is we are disallowing ourselves to have a broader experience in the world. We are limiting ourselves. That's why judgment without proper filter is very dangerous, because it doesn't allow you to grow and it doesn't allow you to have experiences in the world. Otherwise, that'll completely broaden your horizon and broaden your ability to connect with the world. So this limiting of the human potential is a big part of judgment. When we judge others, when we judge anybody or anything in this world, what we're doing is we're basically limiting ourselves, our potential to connect, to communicate, to experience the deep joy within ourselves, because we are putting walls and we're cocooning ourselves in those powerful barricades, and we're imprisoning ourselves. And that is extremely restricting by making yourself a prisoner through this quality of judgment. And judgment is also the biggest quality of resistance. That in this world, we're constantly resisting. And there's so much that is being offered to us. But when we have this emotion of judgment, then we're basically not allowing divine intervention in our lives. We're resisting everything that is being offered to us. All interactions, all communications, all exchanges in this world are a unique gift that the universe provides for us to have lessons in life that will enable us to grow in life. So, this is why in yoga, we are very careful not to judge others and not to put ourselves in the space of judging ourselves. So we understood what is judgment that is good and judgment that is not so good, because it's resisting God's gift, universal gift for our personal growth. So this is judgment. Now, briefly on acceptance. As we know from the wisdom text, judgment is a very big issue in spiritual growth, because it is impeding your connection with God. It is impeding your connection with the divine. And so therefore, the yoga texts are explaining about the principle of acceptance. And acceptance is actually never alone, because real acceptance comes with humility. You know, we can tell people, yes, I accept what you're saying, but it's a theoretical process that has happened. But true acceptance comes with another emotion. It is the emotion of humility. And humility is an emotion that comes from the soul, from our inner divine self. And that's where humility comes from. So acceptance and humility, they go together to make what true acceptance is. Acceptance on its own, generally it can be a very theoretical or mechanical process. So the sages are saying that acceptance on its own, it doesn't stand. It doesn't stand on one leg. It stands on these two legs of the spiritual value, karma or humility and acceptance. So they go together. So now, what else happens with acceptance? With acceptance, there's freedom, because there's no longer resistance. In our lives, if you noticed, from the age of 2, we have something called the terrible twos, which is we learned this very important word, which is called no. Whatever you tell the kid, and the kid says no. Has anyone ever experienced that? If you have kids,
I'm
you'll know
experiencing
whatever
it
you say
right
is
now.
no, no, no. This nonstop,
No.
it starts. That resistance starts at age 2. And that resistance goes on throughout our lives. Imagine from age 2 to throughout our lives, we are resisting, resisting, resisting. And that is why we're not able to experience freedom. So the wisdom texts are saying, the day you resist, stop resisting, stop pushing, and just allowing, and that is awareness. Acceptance means that there is a acceptance and humility means that there is an awareness, and therefore, when there is an awareness in ourselves, there is an experience of freedom. And through acceptance, you'll notice there is better relationships. If 2 people neither are willing to accept, there's going to be fireworks. In communities, when people don't gather together and they practice acceptance, the community falls apart. So there's so many reasons why acceptance is the most powerful tool for growth in life. And most importantly, that acceptance is literally the gateway to experiencing bhakti or love within our hearts. If you want to experience love, if you want to experience divine love, if you want to experience human love, any kind of love, that emotion that is soft, that is kind, that is beautiful, that is nurturing, then we have to practice this principle of acceptance, because that is where the gate opens, that is where the door opens to experiencing love. So if someone is not experiencing love in our lives, then we may have to gauge and see what is it that is missing in our lives. And thereby we can, through discernment, we can make proper decisions to navigate through our lives. So it is the path to liberation, it is the path to enlightenment, it is the path to freedom, it is the path to, it is the gate to everything in life. So this is my discussion for today. We're going to be discussing this in our retreat, because one of the values of any retreat or any communities we build, we practice no judgment. Not discernment, but no judgment. Discernment, yes, but no judgment. Okay. Any thoughts? Any reflections? Any comments? Sorry for keeping it short. I was going to tell you a bunch of stories from the Vedas, but let's see how much time. What time is it? How much time do we have?
It's 9:30.
Okay, I'll tell you a small story then. Should I tell you a small story from the Vedas? From the yoga text, I'll tell you a small story. This is a story of a sage, and the name of the sage is Bhrigu. And he was having some confusion in his mind, and he wanted to discern who is someone that he's willing to accept as being great in his eyes. You know, everyone is looking to idolize somebody. We all have idols. And he wanted to find somebody for him. And through various sages, he had heard about Shiva. He heard about Brahma and he heard about Vishnu, who are the three deities of creation, maintenance, and destruction. These energetic forms. So, very interestingly, he had incredible mystical powers. So he went to the abode of Lord Shiva, which is in the mountains of the Himalayas. And there, when he approached Lord Shiva, he saw that Lord Shiva didn't acknowledge his existence, didn't acknowledge him. When someone comes to your space, you acknowledge them. And he wasn't acknowledged. So this sage had tremendous control. So what he did, he just wanted to test this guy. I'm coming into his house, he's not showing any respect. So he went and he kicked him. Imagine kicking someone with your feet is considered to be extremely disrespectful in Vedic culture, because the feet it's synonymous with the lowest part of your body. So slapping is considered more respectable than kicking somebody. So Shiva got really, really angry and, blasted this sage. How dare you do this? And the sage Bhrigu did not even utter a word. And he just acknowledged that Lord Shiva was angry, and he left. He was trying to find his answers, and he didn't get the answer that he was looking for. And then he went to Brahma. Brahma is the creator. And he goes to Brahma. Brahma acknowledges him, doesn't give him a place to sit. So he is like, what is this? So he gets angry with Brahma and kicks Brahma. And Brahma is also disturbed by this sage's behavior. And finally, I'm telling this story a little quickly for you, just to get to the facts. And then finally, he goes to Vaikuntha, the place of Vishnu. Vaikuntha is a place of no misery. Vai means without, Kuntha means pain or suffering. So he goes to Vaikuntha and he sees Vishnu laying on this serpent, and Lakshmi Devi, goddess of fortune, is massaging his feet. So he just goes and kicks Vishnu on the chest. It's like, what kind of a person are you? You're supposed to be the maintainer of this universe. I come into your space and you don't even recognize me. You don't even acknowledge my existence. What is this? No respect. And as soon as he opens his mouth, Vishnu comes out of his yoga nidra meditation and he acknowledges Sage Brigu is here, and he immediately gets up and he falls at the feet of the sage and he asks the sage, please, can I look at your lotus feet? I wanted to know if your feet is hurt, because my heart is like a stone. So if somebody kicks my heart, maybe they would hurt their feet. So Vishnu immediately approached him with such humility to check for his well-being. And then the sage Brigu, he got his answer that he was looking for. He wanted to discern. He was looking for discernment. Who could be the right candidate for the object of his love? And the object of his love became Vishnu, because Vishnu has this ability to be humble and to be caring for others. So this is a story of discernment that we study in the yoga text, that in life we do a lot of tests. Even in relationships, we test our partners to see if they're going to cheat on us, if they're going to deceive us, we see if they're going to leave us. We do a lot of tests. We're constantly testing and observing. But if the intention of the tests of the judgment is really with the filter of desiring a loving connection, then that becomes discernment. That is no longer a judgment. Otherwise, what happens is, in this world, we just go around judging people we don't even know. And so when we judge people we don't know, because our knowledge of people in this world is extremely limited, because everyone is living on multidimensional existence. We're not just one person. We have many, many dimensions to us. Sometimes we're a mother, we're a daughter, we're a sister, we're a sibling, we're so many different identities that we juggle. It's difficult for anyone to fully know us. And yet, we are very quick to pass judgments on people. And when we do that, we are continuously isolating ourselves, so much so that we isolate ourselves from us. Because this judgment is a quality that is not part of the brighter side of us. We are two people in one box. One is the spirit that resides within this body, and the other is the body that is consisting of the five elements, the mind, intelligence, and the ego. That is a separate existence. So we have two existences that is happening simultaneously. That's why in life, we're always conflicted. People see, I'm not sure what I should do it or not. Why do we say that? Should we go this way or that way? Why is that? Because in the Upanishads we see there's two birds sitting on the same tree. So in this body, we have two existences happening, and then there is the existence of the divine within this life that resides within our hearts. So therefore, judgment is a quality that is dominated with the material part of our existence. It is not the spirit. It is not who we are. It is a quality that we have acquired based on our connection with the material world and matter, connecting with the mind and the ego. And that's why it is continuously pulling us away from who we truly are. So this is what judgment does. And in yoga, the main focus is not judgment, but discernment. And that comes with the filter of developing a loving relationship. Because everything in this world is based on relationship, and relationship means emotions. And if that is the interest, that is the focus, that is the intention, then we will be able to make sure that we will be in the space of discernment and not in the space of judgment. So this is our discussion. So thank you so much. Anyone would like to share anything? Any comments, any additions, any subtractions, any reflections?
I'd love to share. Thank you so much for this beautiful topic. It really resonated. So thank you. One thing that really landed, you said judgment is a quality of resistance. And I think of judgment, the negative form of judgment, as unmet and unhealed parts of myself that I'm projecting on another. So, with knowing that this judgment is a quality of resistance, it's like resisting these unmet parts of within myself. Excuse me. And that's really empowering. That's really empowering because I don't want to resist any parts of myself. It's just a reframing of my mind, I guess. What you said, it reframes my perspective on judgment. And I think back to preferences and how preferences are a root of suffering. And these preferences create judgments. And that the antidote to preferences is acceptance, but acceptance through humility. I think that was so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Rima, that's beautiful. Thank you for that contribution. Really appreciate it. So nice. Would anyone else like to contribute?
Gurveda,
Yes.
is
Mohini.
there is there any way that you can prevent your 2-year-old from saying no? Or, well, of course you can't prevent it. They don't let you. But you can't you can't stop it, can you? You can't change it, or can you? Or how do no? How what I'm trying to ask is how do you teach your 2-year-old to not resist? Yeah, that's the question.
Yes. It's not something we can do. The 2-year-old nature is to resist, and it is only a matter of time. If we give them the freedom, they will actually choose. They say, please come and eat. For example, a mother has difficulty getting their child to eat. it's time to eat dinner or breakfast, and the child says no. And you say, fine, you can resist. If you just leave the food there, whenever they're hungry, they'll come and they will seek out food and they will take it from you. So our point in dealing with children of that age who are continuously practicing, because that's when that age starts, because their identity is starting to formulate. So from the age of, actually explains from 2 to 7, those 5 years in Vedic psychology are called the formative years of a child. 2 to 7. And that means they're forming their identities. And as they're forming their identities, they have to resist. And that's why they're like, no, no, whatever you say, it's a no. They're resisting to form their identity on based on how you would respond to their rejection of you. They're not rejecting you, they're just rejecting to see how you would respond so they can formulate their identity. So we don't, sometimes parents get angry, upset, and they force their kids. No need to force. Whenever they're hungry, they will do it. And we always encourage dialogue. Even if they're 2-year-olds, we may think that they may not understand, but they tremendously do understand and have incredible capabilities to absorb very complex data, even at the age of 2. They can observe complex emotions and complex behaviors, and they're just bringing about their own identity. So we should see it as something positive and just continue to have a dialogue. If they say no, no problem, no resistance. We let them be, and they will turn around and come back. So that's the recommendation that we see in the yoga text.
Thank you, Guru Veda. Quickly, because I don't want to keep you. What if you have practiced that and you know that, but you recognize that there are maybe others, like the grandmother, or maybe some people don't practice that? How can you help them to understand what you just said with grace and with love?
Yeah. We are indoctrinated by our family systems on family values and how it should be done. So that's going to take a lot of work. And the best way to change anybody's opinion is to ourselves do it the best way we think. And then people will absorb it or learn. And if they don't learn, they're going to feel a lot of resistance, and they're going to learn it through that way. Because they think this 2-year-old kid is resisting. Yeah, they're resisting somebody and something. And eventually they start resisting. You'll notice teenagers will start to resist their parents. And it's very interesting. Resistance will go on and on and on and on, unless and until we realize we don't need to push. They're resisting because we're pushing. We don't have to push. And that's the whole principle of yogic life, that we provide, we facilitate, we nurture. There's no need to push. Yes. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Yes. Thank you, Mohini. And Neil, was it Linda? They wanted to add something? Who had Cynthia. You wanted to add something.
Yes, thank you. I more or less got my answer from the discussion that you just had. Oftentimes I'll get stuck in this judgment and it makes me ponder if it's judgment or if it's coming from my heart. And mostly when it comes to adults, like you talked about babies and teenagers, I get stuck when, say, someone is hurting themselves in some way. and I judge it as either, right or wrong. It usually comes up as wrong. And I feel sometimes when I voice myself, I try to voice myself from the heart, saying, trying not to be judgmental, which is kind of difficult in dialogue. And I come into fear about getting that person upset with me. So, and then it turns into this whole thing about judging myself. So, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I normally recommend people always to suggest and not tell people what to do, and not try to in any way give them an idea that you want them to change or do things a certain way. Everyone is very etched in their ways as adults, so we should not try and break that fortress that they have created themselves for their different purposes, different insecurities. So they created a fortress so they don't get hurt. And so therefore, in yoga, it always recommendations are given and suggestions are given. When we study the Bhagavad Gita, a dialogue between two friends, Krishna never tells Arjuna what to do. He actually simply answers questions and he gives options. And he says, you asked, so I said it, now do whatever you want.
Mm.
And that's the beauty of spiritual relationships. Even a teacher, his or her responsibility is simply to encourage and facilitate and provide valuable information for them to consider. And then what they do with it is their choice. And you'll notice in life, whenever you push, the harder you push,
Mm.
you want them to go a certain way and they will go the opposite way. You tell a kid, don't drink, they're going to party hard. Don't do this, because you're trying to control. And that push is not a push to push away, it's a push for control. And as soon as there is that push for control, they're like, no, because we are by nature free, loving souls. So we should not be pushed in that direction to navigate people to do, how we want them to do things, what we want them to do. And so therefore, we have to be very, very careful in spiritual life. If we really want to support someone, we provide options, we provide suggestions, and we actually stand toe to toe with them when they're having difficulties. And even if they're
Mhm.
suffering, they chose something, we stay with them. Let them choose, let them suffer, let them fall, and we're still with them. And then one day they will turn around and say, Cynthia, I'm so sorry I didn't listen to you. And all along, you don't have to say anything. You're like, yes, I'm here for you. You know very well you told them not to do that or suggested not to go on that path, and they still did. So our business as loving souls, the practitioners of unconditional love, practitioners of bhakti, our simple goal is to be supportive partners in people's lives. And it doesn't is unconditional support. And that is done with humility. So thank you all
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you, Cynthia. I appreciate all of you coming, even with such a late notice. We had an ecstatic kirtan last night, and I'm actually shocked at the energy of this place. This is considered the global party headquarters, Medellin. Everybody comes here to party. and it's just party, 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 party. But the real energy of this place is love and heart. Except they're looking at it in the wrong places. It has a very Rishikesh-like vibe. It's very interesting. And last night we had over 100+ people in the kirtan, and we're just kirtaning and dancing. So this is how we began our retreat last night. And today we have the core retreat people, and it has started, and I have to go and hang out with them. Just want to mention to you, the India trip has been launched, that our annual pilgrimage to India, to these powerful places of spiritual vortex, energy vortexes. And no better way to then go with a group of real, genuine, loving souls. We're doing it in 2 groups. There's a beginners group, or like, if you're going first time, so it's very soft landing. And then there's another one, the immersive group, which is a little bit more intense. Please take your pick and join us. You have 9 months. Thank you all so much, beautiful souls. Please have a wonderful day and good night for all of you in Europe. A good afternoon, good morning for those of you in the United States, and and I'm not sure where is everybody else from, but thank you all so much. Namaste, everyone.